1, 2, 3. I've been running from the pain, trying not to feel the same, but it's a shame that we miss again.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to share all my fitness tips and my workouts and my nutrition information with you guys, and I figured this would be a great platform to do so. So basically I'm super excited and I can't wait to just go through everything and kind of declutter what is out there. There's so much information and it's so hard to kind of go through everything and figure out, with bits and pieces as to like what you should be doing and not doing, and do I drink apple cider vinegar? Do I work out like 9 times a day? Like, what do I have to do? So hopefully we can kind of declutter that and make it so that it's more sustainable for you, so that, you're not going to the gym and eating healthy and all this stuff and it's going to waste. Just kind of like making sure it's like the most productive for what your goals are. So yeah, and a lot of you guys have been asking about my weight loss transformation photo that I posted on my Instagram. So I'll kind of go through that a little bit with you guys. That photo was from high school. So that was like, I had just finished grade 10, and basically every day for 2 years I ate a chocolate chip cookie and a large chocolate milk for breakfast and for lunch for 2 years. So anyways, I really did like sports. Sports was how I got into fitness, but that is the reason why I gained a whole bunch of weight, is a terrible diet. My diet was crappy. I ate a lot of frozen foods growing up. A lot of things that like me and my sister could kind of just like pop into the fridge or into the oven, that kind of thing, which is like not anyway bad, but at the same time it kind of adds up after a while. So that's kind of how I guess I got into the pant size that I did. And it is what it is, because I was, again, always active and I always like running and sports and soccer and volleyball and all that stuff. But it kind of just got to the point where my diet was outrunning me. So there wasn't anything that I could do to really combat that, because I was just eating far more calories than I was burning. So basically what happened was I did gain weight. I was like 140 pounds. I went up to 170 pounds. And even though I'm 5'9", it distributed fairly well, but it still did not feel good. So I wasn't like extremely overweight, but at the same time, I just really felt crappy, and I felt like my sports were getting hindered, and I just did not feel good. And it was crazy because even at that time, people would tell me that like I wasn't overweight and like I looked fine and like, all that kind of stuff. And I just like knew that I didn't feel good. So what I did was I started to work out more. I started to try and run it off. The 2 hours on the treadmill. I'm sure a few of you guys have been there with me, right? I need to run more because I need to lose weight. Did not work because my diet was still crap. So basically I was running all this time, but then I was still eating pretty shitty because I didn't know how to change my diet. And the cycle just kind of continued, and I ended up gaining even more weight. So here comes college, and basically what happened was my saving grace is that I fell with my arm. I basically fell and dislocated and tore all the ligaments in my wrist, had to go into surgery, was in a cast that was like up to here for like a year, and basically that is kind of what helped me lose the weight, which is crazy. So I didn't lose all of it. I lost about 10 pounds that way just because I couldn't really do anything. And I wasn't really as hungry anymore. So like it just kind of started going down, which was nice. But the thing is that I lost all the muscle in my arm. So my whole arm atrophied, which is awful because it's basically like you can't even pick up like a coffee cup. Like it just didn't work. So that being said, it atrophied and I was absolutely miserable because volleyball tryouts were that September and my muscle in my arm was gone. So basically all those lovely serves I had practiced, everything that I had practiced to try and get onto this college team, it was gone. And there's no way that I was going to be able to basically rebuild it by September. So I tried my hardest though. I literally researched everything that I absolutely could. I started reading NCBI articles about muscle gain and how to be the most productive in building up certain muscles. Tried to train everything that I could around it before, like my legs, my back, everything. Like I was like, at least everything else, maybe I can get my left arm to do it because it is my right. So basically like your hands are like this, right? So if I'm going like this and you turn it, it doesn't go all the way down. So it's such a slight difference, but the thing is that what happens is when your hand can't move like that, when you go to serve, it's a lot in your shoulder and into your elbow. And I was like, well, is it worth me wrecking my shoulder to play volleyball, right? So I didn't have any muscle, and like even by September, like it just like even just like trying to hit anything, it was like a pool noodle. So it was out of the question. Like it just wasn't happening. But it did really make me focus on bodybuilding and on hypertrophy and like really focusing on what I needed to do. And my diet had to kind of step up, because if I wasn't eating enough, or if I wasn't eating enough protein or the right, sources and that kind of thing, how did I expect to build muscle, right, if I'm not eating properly? So I really had to get my food in check. Luckily, I was able to do that. I started actually training like as hard as I could for quite a while, probably like 2 years, and it finally kind of started to build up. And then I ended up getting a job as a personal trainer, which was amazing. It was like absolutely life-changing, and I still do that to this day. I do work as well. Like I do have a full-time job, but I also work as a personal trainer on the side. So I have like online training as well as like boot camps and one-on-one training and that kind of thing that I still run. So I'm super lucky that way, and it's been absolutely amazing. Like it's so much fun to watch people change and transform and just like keep the weight off, right? Because like it's just something that I wish that I also had like way back when, but it's nice that now I can transfer that knowledge on. So I guess like the second time that I gained weight, because there are 2 times, was when I went to go do a bikini show. So basically, even when I lost like weight, I was never skinny, never really was fat either, was kind of like that middle again. And I didn't really have a butt. I didn't really have anything. I just kind of there. And what I decided to do was I was like, you know what, there was some like relationship stuff going on at the time. And I just was like, you know what, screw it. I've wanted to do this since I started working out. I'm going to do a bikini show, because what else do I have at the moment that, it was like the best distraction ever. Like I was like super upset because a whole bunch of stuff just like blew up in my face, and it was just like so overwhelming, and I didn't know what to do. So I was like, screw it. I'm going to work on me, and do this stereotypical thing. And I didn't cut my hair, but I did decide to work on me. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this bikini competition. So I basically signed up and just started working and meal prepping and running my butt off, controlled this time, and weightlifting like crazy, and basically just like started working my butt off. And it took me 4 months, and I did amazing. Like anything that piece of paper said that was from my coach, I did it to a T. Probably should have worked on my posing a little bit more, because that's kind of my downfall. I didn't place for a second or third, mainly because I think my posing was terrible, but that's okay. Not the most graceful, but we'll get there. And basically what happened was, after the show, I had nothing after it. So I had nothing to kind of like, why would I not eat the chocolate cake? Why would I not eat this or that, right? And I completely cut out sugar for the entire 4 months. I completely cut out a lot of things that maybe I should have incorporated thinking about now. And the whole thing is that I was so set on it though that it just didn't seem worth it. So it was like the strictest prep in the entire world. I did it, and I was super proud of myself. And as soon as I got off stage, I ate a giant piece of cake. And then I also had like a nice steak dinner, and it really wasn't that bad. But what was bad was following that the next day, you're driving down the street and there's Wendy's, and then there's McDonald's, and then there's all these other restaurants that you haven't had in 4 months. So I decided that I was going to eat like all of them, and I really didn't hold out on anything. And I was super pumped, because every time I stepped on the scale, it would be like 9%, 10%, 9%, 12%, meh. Like it was still like relatively lean. Like I remember we went to CanFit, and it was like the CanFit Pro, and there was like one of these booths, and I stepped on the scale, and the guy like literally like his face just dropped. He's like, whoa. And like we did it like 2 or 3 times, and it was like one of these giant Tanita scales, and he's like, you're 8% body fat. And so what had happened is, like, after the show, my body continued to lose fat and to lose weight, even though I was eating more. So like I was eating probably 3,000 to 3,500 calories. And at the time before that, I was eating like 900 calories. Like I was so low on food, and my body was still losing weight. So I actually had to go to the doctor, and they were like, hey, you need to keep eating because like your body is still losing weight. So what had happened is basically right after, like yeah, I could eat like 3,500 calories and my body would still like, it would go down. So every time I stepped on, like the body fat percent would go down, go down, go down. And it was like a month later that we were at this like CamFit Pro thing. And he's like, how are you 8%? And I was wearing like track pants and I was wearing a sweater because I was so cold. And some people would ask me like, hey, are you competing? Like, what are you doing? Like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, like I'm not competing, but like I did just compete. And they're like, oh, but it's been a month. Like, how are you so tiny? And it's just like my body was reacting so well to all the carbs that I wasn't gaining weight, which is like, you know, everyone's dream, except for the fact that I was so low on body fat that I really should have been gaining weight. So it was crazy. And it was really cool because I saw him like last year and he's like, hey, how are you? And I was like, good, how are you? And I stepped on and he's like, you're the girl that was 7%. He's like, that's the lowest I've ever had on here, blah, 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 blah. And like, it's a weird thing that I'm like kind of proud of because I was like, I didn't realize it was that memorable, right? So it was cool. And then I gained a whole bunch of weight after that though. Like it went from like me being 7% to me being like 35 to 40%, like really quick, like within like a month. So I went back up to that like 170, 175 mark. And I felt like a water balloon and I had such bad edema that my calves swelled up and my lungs filled with water. And it was just like, it was so bad. I ate one frozen pizza and like, I thought I was going to have to go to Emerge. It was messed up. So yeah, so that happened. And then that fat that you gain after a competition, it sticks on like glue. So it took me about 3.5 months, about the same time it took me to get down that low to get back out of it. And after being that tiny, I've never been someone who's like been like, oh my God, like I look terrible. And I knew that there was like a little bit of like body dysmorphia that comes with shows. I was so hard on myself after the show. Like I thought I was huge and I was like 12% body fat. Like I thought I was massive. So it was like, it was super eye-opening to like just realize like how many people feel like that and they haven't done a show. They just automatically just assume that they're like overweight. So it was really eye-opening. And then I had like a huge level of compassion after that for like everybody that's ever done that. And I still like plan to compete again. I have different methods and different ways that I would like to do it this time, but I'm glad that I did it because it taught me a lot. And on top of it, now I can share it with other people who might have that same experience and help them get through it, because there are ways that you can get through it without doing what I did. So, and that's okay. So I like to do things the hard way, and that's why it makes for an awesome lesson, because then I can teach other people how not to do it or how to do it differently so that that doesn't happen, and that's fine. Yeah, so that's kind of the second time that I gained a whole bunch of weight. And the funny thing is that I've been like fat shamed, and like I guess like people were like, oh my God, you're like overweight, like you should lose weight, and you know, like that kind of thing, even though like I really wasn't thinking about it now. And then I've also had people when I was like super tiny before my show be like, oh, like they'd come up to me in the gym and be like, you're skinny and I liked you better before. And I'm like, really? Like my whole goal in my life was to get abs at least once. I just wanted an 8-pack, right? Like I was just like, this would be so cool. And I finally got there. And it was like the morning that I saw it, I like walked out and I was like super pumped. I was on the treadmill and I was like, yeah, we're just going to have like an amazing cardio session. I'm so tired, but like it's going to be awesome. And just like someone makes their way across and they're like, hey, I liked you better before and you look sick and you look disgusting. And I was just like, I was so happy with everything that I like the way that I looked. And like then I also realized that, hey, skinny shaming is a super real thing too. And honestly, if you've been a victim of either, I am sorry, because it sucks, especially when you've like worked your ass off to get there and someone tells you that and it just like it kind of blows, because you're like, oh, just worked like 4 months for this. So yeah, so it's yeah, so just make sure, like, I guess, like, be nice to people, guys. Like either way, like it's really, you never know, like someone might have just lost like 100 pounds, you never know, right? So you're like, oh, like they look terrible in this tank top, or like maybe they shouldn't wear that to the gym. Well, they actually just like built up the confidence to be able to wear that in the gym. So maybe just try and be nice and see, you know, if you can help them at all, because maybe they need some help, who knows, right? Or same with like the really skinny person, maybe there's a reason why they're like that. It might not just be that, you know, they could just be super skinny. Like, what are they supposed to do about it, you know? So anyways, yeah, that's kind of like my story, I guess. And then now I'm just kind of building, waiting to compete again. I was supposed to compete this year, but thanks COVID. So yeah, until then, that's kind of it. And because there's a few things that happened over the last few weeks. I'm kind of still dealing with that. I thought this would be a great time to start up because I'm not exactly like the super leanest I've ever been. I'm not heavy either. I'm kind of just sitting at like my normal maintenance point, but I am looking to get leaner over the next few weeks and the next few months. So that being said, I thought it would be a great opportunity to start here at a realistic body fat percentage and a realistic number, and kind of have everyone follow along at that point so that you guys can kind of see like what I'm doing to get down to where I want to be, as opposed to me starting there and then telling you guys, hey, this is how you get here, right? It's just different when you see it, and I always admired those like YouTubers and Instagram people that I could kind of follow along with, as opposed to like someone who's just like already super fit being like, yeah, this is what you do, and you're like, yeah, but like, do you do that? And most of the time, no, because they've already done that to get to that spot, right? So that's kind of what we're going to be doing. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned something while you're watching my channel. And I just want to say thank you so much for clicking play. Please like and subscribe it. You know the deal on YouTube. That would be awesome. And yeah, have a great day, guys.